In the previous Makor in the Rambam, it seems to be giving a certain preference to a kohen in a certain matter that does not relate to kedusha. The question of if we were dealing with a kohen who is poor or a prisoner,
yes.
Am I to understand that, generally speaking, the preference given to a kohen in matters of kedusha, that's what I thought, except in such extreme situations of his being poor or in prison, but on day-to-day matters, if it's not an inyan de kedusha, then a kohen is not given preference, correct? For example, it wouldn't, if there were a supermarket and the people were waiting online at a supermarket, it wouldn't be necessary or considered appropriate to let a kohen go in front of you on the line. That's my understanding, because that's not a matter of kedusha. So what we see in the Rambam there is only giving preference to the Rambam in a matter that's not of kedusha because it's an extreme type of situation. Is my understanding correct?
I don't think allowing, shall we say, a kohen to jump the queue in the supermarket is a real, a true example of kavod. It's convenient. It's more convenient to wait less in line at the supermarket, but it's not considered kavod shemamash. It's not a serious type of respect or honor that is being bestowed upon this person. On the other hand, taking into account the knowledge of Torah of a person, when dealing with two captives who have to be redeemed, and we can only redeem one of them at this moment, that is something very serious, because the bizayon, the hashpala, the tremendous disrespect and
demeaning.
Yes, thank you. It's more than demeaning. It's also often involves threat to life in these situations. In other words, if two people are very hungry, they have nothing to eat, and you only give the cup to the one, the other might die from starvation. That's also possible, for example. Or in the case of pirates who have captured Jews and now wish to receive ransom, you don't know what will happen from one moment to the next. So when it comes to saving their lives or saving their honor, and the honor of each Jew is also indirectly the honor, the kavod of the Jewish people. And the greater the Jew this person is, the more disrespect and the greater the shame of the Jewish people, let's say, that is such a great Torah scholar is held captive by scum of the earth pirates or slave traders. So that is a question of kavod, both for the individual and for Klal Yisrael in general. There's no kavod for Am Yisrael, or not really for the individual either, jumping the queue in the supermarket. It just makes life easier, perhaps.
But for example, let's say on a plane, if we had a halachic state and the national airline El Al is distributing seats, and it's more comfortable to sit in certain seats up front or in business class, would you say that there isn't a kashavana because it's it's not a question.
I don't think that these are good examples, because here we're discussing things that are a function of payment of money. The difference between the economy class seat and the business class seat, shall we say, is a question of money. How much money you have and how much you're willing to pay for this particular this convenience, for this additional comfort. You may have a Talmid Chacham, you may even be be very wealthy, but he does not think that it's necessary to pay double the price of the ticket in order to fly first class, which is a perfectly reasonable decision. And on the other hand, for another person who is willing to pay and has paid this money, you can't tell him, well, so and so will take your place instead because he's a Talmid Chachamim. That is unjust. And so these are not good examples. An example that that Rambam mentions elsewhere has to do with calling up a kohen first to the Torah. Rambam says that Mishnah, which speaks about, as we just said before, that Mamzer Tamid Chachamim is shown more respect than a kohen Am Ha'aretz. This applies also to the reading of the Torah. In other words, according to the bottom line of the halakha, according to Rambam at least, this is not perhaps agreed to by all, but Rambam's view certainly is that you call up first to the Torah the greatest chacham in the Beth Knesset at that moment, and the next is the number two, and so on. And only when you have a situation where, let's say, you have various chachamim in the Beth Knesset, and you cannot decide, or you do not know how to estimate the relative chokhmah of Torah, then you revert to the system of turning to the Kohen first, and then to the Levi, and then to the Israel. So only when they're equal, when they're showing the chokhmah, as we said before. But if it's clear this is not the case, then the Torah is the yardstick, and not the yichus, not the genealogy.
Are there shuls that you know of historically that follow the Rambam and follow that hierarchy regarding giving out aliyot?
I'm not familiar with such a Beth Knesset or such a community, because it's clear from the Subriot and the Teshuvot of the Geonim on the subject that the real hashash was, and this is what Rambam writes, was because of mahloket. In other words, if you call up Chacham Aleph as opposed to Chacham Bet to the Torah first, this may result in mahloket, that the second will feel slighted, and this will lead to very possibly to negative outcomes. And to avoid such things, which are a function of human weakness, perhaps, but they're nevertheless real, we prefer to do things in such a way where no mahloket can possibly result. Apparently, this was based on the fact that it happened not only on rare occasions, that such things did lead to mahloket. So, in the Talmud it says that Rav was called up first to the Torah before Rabbi Ameh and Rabbi Aseh, even though they were Kohanim, because no one argued about who was the Gadol B'Torah. And that's the ideal situation where no one argues and everyone knows the truth and everyone accepts the truth as it is. I mean, can you imagine a situation if you're in a Beth Knesset and there's the Rav of the community who's a Talmid Chachamim, but the Rosh happens to be in the Beth Knesset today as well? Which Rav is going to say that the Rosh shouldn't get an aliyah before me? No reasonable person would say such a thing. You would have to be a true scoundrel to say such a thing. But when it's less clear, less obvious, and you're talking about people of lesser stature who are more concerned with their kavod, then who knows what will result? And therefore, the general practice became, as Rambam also writes, I mean, Haglat Pashut is to go according to the hierarchy of Kohen Levi Israel, and not according to Chokhmah. But this is B'di Avad, according to the Rambam. This is not L'chatchila. This is because of the likelihood of causing mahloket, which is destructive. So it's even more important that to avoid mahloket than to lay down the law that we respect chokhmah above all, which is true. It should be so, but not everything that should be is, and we all know this is how sometimes how things work.